love being an artist. I absolutely love it. But it wasn't ever in my train of thought that that's something I could ever do. I got swept up and became one. And it took me a long time to say that I was an artist. I'm Jen Hopkins, and I'm a sculptural fiber artist working with natural materials. I was at the Herd Museum in Arizona, and I saw all these beautiful baskets. I didn't know what kind of materials they were, and I just thought, I have to learn how to do this. In 1988, when my husband and I moved here, the basketry school opened in Fremont, and I dove in. I took basketry for 5 years, and I decided that I wanted to start exhibiting in a national forum. It was in Seattle, Washington. So it was a national show in Seattle. So Lloyd Herman came, and he was the Renwick director at the time. And so he told this gallery in Cambridge, when you're in town, you need to come see the show. And then they picked me up along with 5 other artists, and that was it. And so that gave me a lot of freedom. So I started processing grapefruit peels, orange peels, and a lot of my early work was made out of citrus peels. But I worked with a lot of different materials. This is the bottom side of a halibut skin, and it's really soft. This is cocoons, interior parts of the cocoon, and that's salmon skin, and you wouldn't know it by looking at it. So I started thinking more narratively, and then I started thinking about the form, and then transitioned into making more larger forms and then torsos. Because they're torsos, I've always thought of them as having human emotions. The story behind it is really that human aspect of art, I guess. I started a women icon series, and I started out with Marilyn Monroe and how complex her life was, her interior life, and then her exterior was very coquettish, but that her real self, she was very insecure. One of the last torsos that I did was called Unbreakable, and it was about Frida Kahlo. And I used quotes on all of my torsos, and hers was about, I'm not sick, I'm broken, but I'm happy as long as I can paint. Well, this is my latest piece. It took me 9.5 months to create. It's mainly made out of leaves. And this one is a quote by Gloria Steinem. It says, if you can learn how to like how you look and not the way you think you look, it can set you free. And this goes in and out. It's a mask. You know, it's how you feel about yourself. It's not who you actually are. I've never sketched any of my work. It's just in my head, and as I see it developing, then I just instinctively do what I do. But after a couple of hours, I just have to go for a walk because a lot of this stuff is so tedious. I come from Idaho, southern Idaho. My dad was a farmer and my mom was a concert violinist and a teacher. So I grew up isolated. My parents were very tight-lipped about the internment camp, and so we never heard it from them until the 80s when President Reagan finally made his apology. And then I noticed that my parents felt freer to talk about it. And so that's when I started learning about the internment camps and what they had gone through. There was a lot of suffering that happened with my relatives, you know, where they lost property, you know, and they had to start their life over. To honor my parents, my husband and I decided we wanted to do an internment show that was more of a personal view. And the show debuted in 2018 at the Shack Arts Center. Then in 2022, we're invited to exhibit at the Bainbridge Island Museum of Art. And so we were able to show on the 80th anniversary of the first Japanese Americans taken. It's my life that I put into this work, you know. So I go back to thinking about what my dad said, and he always said he loved farming. My mom loved being a violinist and an artist. So I grew up with great models of, you know, doing what you love to do. So I feel lucky.